Adventures of Sonic Episode 48, Blackbot the Pirate. Robotnik tells the scientist that he's stalling. Robotnik is forcing the scientist to do stuff against threat of being thrown in a dungeon, and this gets Robotnik a time machine. Well, that's overpowered. Oh, instead he wants to use it to get the 4 Chaos Emeralds. To get invisibility, invincibility, immortality, and the power of life itself. These are the best Chaos Emeralds ever! Each one has a specific power, and there's less of them. Still, the common sense thing for Robotnik to do with the time machine is to erase Sonic and Tails from existence. Or at least kidnap them as babies and put them in a dungeon if he wants to float. Scratch and Grounder go into Pilgrim times off-screen temporarily and come back. How did Scratch have a real turkey body temporarily? That was dumb. Him going back in time should have caused a large-scale panic from him clearly being a robot. Not him being treated like a turkey and then trying to cook him when he's clearly made of metal. I guess the idea that Robotnik can't make a time machine and he needs someone else to do it helps solve the logic problem of why doesn't he make one himself and win? After Sonic shows the Casanova side from seeing a pretty girl on the beach, Professor K-Einstein shows up. Sonic wants to go after a cute little hedgehog in a pink bikini, in his words, but the professor warns them about Robotnik's plan. Why didn't Robotnik kill this guy or lock him up? He should have known he'd go to Sonic. So logically, Sonic shouldn't have even had a chance. He gives Sonic time travel boots and says that if he pushes the lever on them one way, he'll travel to the past, and if he pushes it another way, he'll go to the future. And Sonic has to run really fast around the world to time travel, like in Sonic CD. I really love this. Meanwhile, Robotnik time travels as well, insisting for some reason on taking Scratch and Grounder with him. This is sadly just an excuse to have a pirate episode. Even though pirates exist in modern times, like the Smalley Pirates. It's a shame because this episode could have been leading up to something epic because Robotnik mentions the Chaos Emeralds for the first time. Like, this could have led to him finding the emeralds and to be a part of the show. But I don't have faith that that's going to happen after the show's been purely about comedy up to this point. That seems like a jarring shift. Predictably, Grounder fails against a pirate because he's cut up by his sword. That's quite a contrast from Archie, because the sword actually damages a robot. Scratch wastes time talking to Blackbeard, causing him to get beaten. How does Robotnik plan to repair his robots here? He finally is competent by roboticizing the pirate with his robot transmogrifying ray. Wait, really? Robotnik has not only roboticization in this show, but a portable roboticizer too? Wow! I'm really impressed. What took him so long? He could use this invention to take over the world. Just use it on a ton of people and get Robotropolis. You idiot! He's barely gonna use this. Anyways, he makes the pirate pilot the ship for him to take him to Shark Island. No, not the one from Wind Waker, unfortunately. I don't think it's shaped like a shark. So why call it that? I don't think we're even gonna see any sharks. Robotnik complains that Sonic won't be born for another 300 years, and yet he's still here. How could Sonic have possibly known where exactly Robotnik would be in time and space and go there first? Did Professor K-9 tell him? I guess Professor K-9 is apparently in a position to know where all of the emeralds were in the exact time that Robotnik would travel to find them. He could have decided to travel to dinosaur times to find all of them for all he knows. How would he know to tell Sonic to go to this specific year? He could have gone to a different year. Sonic somehow has the time to talk before dodging a cannonball, and Robotnik gets hurt and sent into the floorboard of the ship. Scratch and Grounder keep unintentionally damaging the ship by trying to shoot a super fast hedgehog, and they even fire at Robotnik when Sonic is clearly not anywhere near them. Tails then glues some spines to Grounder and paints him blue. How did he get those spines? Unfortunately, Scratch can only see a small part of Grounder, helping justify him attacking Grounder. Grounder has been able to talk normally just fine when he was ahead before, so why is it that now he talks like a phone operator? The pirate Robian tries to threaten Sonic, but Sonic jumps over him singing condescendingly, and spin dashes to send him through the floorboards. Tails then gets tied up insultingly easily and is made to walk the plank because being in danger is all he's good for most of the time. He falls into the ocean and conveniently floats on the surface right away. Sonic is also able to float on the surface. What a salty scene! Robotnik then shoots the portable roboticizer, and rather than roboticizing Sonic and Tails, that would have been overly dark and makes sense. So instead, he roboticized the sharks around them, and one of them ate them. I'm sure they somehow survived though. Maybe the roboticization made it so that the shark doesn't have digestive acids anymore. Why have them get eaten then? What's the point? Scratch warns Robotnik that there's nothing to patch the hole in the ship with, and Robotnik says that he'll patch the hole with, predictably, Scratch. I guess the roboticization process only works halfway for such big creatures as whales. I wish they explained it as they ran out of metal. Chemicals to transform into metal. Sonic follows a cable to the roboticized brain, rearranges the circuits of the computer controls, pulls a lever, ties string stuff around, and uses a lever to take control of the whale. It should have been Tails doing that. Why would that lever even exist when there's no way Robotnik would have planned for anyone to be in the whale's brain? And he wanted Sonic to be in the whale. He should have known this would happen. What a dumb roboticization process. Robotnik walks onto the beach of Shark Island, with Grounder getting Scratch off the hull, and then the robots follow them. I guess Shark Island is already famous for being dangerous, since the pirate warns Robotnik of traps already. They stop in front of a very convenient X on the ground. Realistically, why would anyone put that there if they want to hide something? Why wouldn't they just keep the treasure with them for their whole life? The only explanation could be that they're very old and about to die, so they hide it. And they don't trust their kids, so they don't pass it on to them. Sonic spin dashes into the ground trying to stop the villains from getting the Invisibility Chaos Emerald. Grounder and Scratch are digging at the same time, but they take longer because they bicker. Sonic gets to the treasure chest first and plans to trick the robots, who bring a chest to Robotnik. He opens it and an explosion happens, reducing him to a weird outfit he shouldn't have logically. How did Sonic get the materials to make that happen, including a chest? Instantly, the pirate and Robotnik grab Sonic, sneaking up on him. Robotnik says that he went back a few moments in his time machine, letting him get an easy victory over Sonic, but of course not! Sonic says that he never touched it, and he realizes that even the emerald is invisible, as he sees a butterfly get vanished temporarily. My intelligence is insulted because Sonic clearly says the emerald is invisible right next to Robotnik, and yet Robotnik can't hear him. I assumed that he could hear him, and that's a problem with the show. They didn't need to write Sonic just talking out loud. Sonic is put in the chest and turns invisible, letting him actually attack Scratch for a change. Grounder has a radar saying that Sonic's getting closer and he's damaged. Robotnik kicks away Grounder's head, and the pirate Robian sees Sonic's footprints, but Sonic immediately spin dashes him apart. Yeesh! There used to be a person! Robotnik wrecks Sonic's time travel shoes and strands him in the past, being very genre savvy. But then he warps away with Sonic smirking, immediately destroying all of the tension. Sonic smirks some more, ruining the tension of the scene, and buries the treasure and his shoes show up. He figured the treasure would be dug up in the future, so he wrote a note to the professor telling him to send him his shoes at this time.
Sonic?
Oh good! Robotnik actually does recognize Sonic in the stupid disguise he shouldn't have. And Sonic takes away his emerald, so it didn't matter that he recognized them. Robotnik gets chased after by horses, and Sonic and Tails go back to their present time. Wait, that's the end of the episode? We only saw one of the Chaos Emeralds. I hope they continue with this emerald hunt. But why would Robotnik think he needs to time travel to find the Chaos Emeralds? Is it that they all got destroyed in the past? So he needs to time travel to find them? That's the only explanation. That was such a sudden end to the episode, just to give us a Sonic Says message being a Captain Obvious that, yeah, swords are dangerous, go figure. But in the context of the show, Tails should have a sword. He'll be able to defend himself against the robots. Sonic shouldn't be... Does he think Tails will hurt him with a sword by accident? Really? I was really impressed with this episode because it did things that other better continuities of Sonic did. Robotnik mentions the Chaos Emeralds, he uses the Roboticizer, and it's an Archie exclusive portable one at that. And Sonic goes back in time by running really fast, albeit thanks to the shoes of a scientist that Robotnik should have ever let escape his fortress. So Sonic never should have been able to stop Robotnik. It's not only because of that, but it's also because what are the chances that he would know exactly what year Robotnik would go to? But it was great that Robotnik needed someone else to make the time machine to explain why he didn't make one earlier or why he won't make one himself later. However, Robotnik was really stupid to not just go back in time to when Sonic was a baby and get rid of him there. That would have been my first thought. That would have been the common sense thing to do. Instead, he wants to use the time machine to find Chaos Emeralds that I can only assume only exist in the specific year that he travels back to. So I can only assume that the Chaos Emeralds only exist in the past. Otherwise, huh? Why do we need time travel for this? I really love how the Chaos Emeralds were portrayed creatively, unlike under Flynn's writing, because each one has a different power. Most of them have alliteration because their powers start with the letter I, and there's only 4 of them. Although 2 of the powers are redundant with each other. Like invincibility and immortality are basically the same thing functionally, at least for one power. And invincibility, I guess Sonic can still be tangibly made contact with, but he's practically invincible. It'll be bullshit if we never see the other 3 though. Instead we just see the invincibility one here, which in a twist is already invisible and Sonic uses it. They didn't have to be stranded in the past in the first place. That was just confusing time travel stuff. I love that the roboticization concept was finally used though. I never thought the show would use it, but it was so casual about it. Sonic even tore the roboticized pirate to shreds, which never happened outside of the show for good reason. And we'll never see him realize what he actually did and agonize over the fact that he killed somebody. Not to mention, we never really saw the pirate do anything horrible to deserve this. I hope the roboticization concept is used much more in the show, because it makes Robotnik the proper threat that he's supposed to be. I mean, one of my only problems with it is it makes people look bad, so just have them look the way they did before, but metallic, but they're never gonna do that. And I don't like how, like, you can't have the heroes attacking Robians or spin dashing them because that means they'll murder people, as Sonic clearly did there. So it's like much more depressing than having robots around. But in this show has Robotnik being so incompetent that I actively want roboticization, even despite the grimness of it. Problem is, even with roboticization, Scratch and Grounder ruin everything. They cancel out all of his added competence. And the very idea of a portable roboticizer still makes no sense compared to someone you can put in a roboticizer and some chemicals or something is contained in it to transform them, keeping the chemicals from going all over the place. I guess those chemicals are compressed to a laser for the portable version, preventing them from going anywhere except to the target's body. Like maybe they were held in a magnetic field. It's overpowered, but at this point Robotnik needs all the competence he can get. And it can't be overstated enough, it would suck if we never saw these interesting Chaos Emeralds again, when even Sadiam didn't technically have them. Like, the show clearly is giving me trust issues because of how, like, gutless and overly comedic it is. So, like, this is an obvious story arc, but it's so hard for me to believe at this point because it never had story arcs before and it never had anything epic happen before.